We're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hello. Welcome to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. I'm Thundercloud. Mum calls me James, washing away the garbage, sleeping rainbows after rains. Let's have some fun and linguistic games. Yeah. Well, welcome back, Doug, tonight after an absence. Yay. Let's put Doug's back.
I'm only half here.
Well, that's all right. That's all right. We're place is full of half-wits anyway, so you'll be fine. Yeah. That's all right. Well, I've got a poem from Larry that he sent to me all the way from wherever he's languishing in recovery. And also, I'll begin the night by acknowledging traditional custodians of the land on which we broadcast and do this poetry, the Kamilaroi people, and acknowledge the continuing connection to the land of the elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge sovereignty's never been ceded, and whatever Pauline Hanson thinks isn't really that important about like an Indigenous voice in Parliament, because she's like one voice out of many who say she got no idea. Right. Moving right along, so I've also got some special poetry tonight from my poet friend down there in the Blue Mountains, Paris-Maree, Boreham. I've got Will Ogilvie to do tonight, but yesterday I was visited by Millicent Jones, and I'll be doing some of her poetry tonight. Now, Millie's from down Coffs Harbour way. She came here. She's self-published her. She gave me 3 books that she's self-published, all of poetry. She's been friends with Rosemary Dobson when she was alive, and a few other poets here. So she's probably senior to everybody in this room, but like as fit as a fiddle, and sharp as a tack. So wonderful to see. And Millie's left me some of her books, so I'm going to be starting out tonight with Millie Jones's.
Oh, they do come to life.
Yeah, they do.
Dead man walk, real dead man walk.
All right, so Millie Jones, this is her book Footsteps. I'm going to start with the one that she wanted me to read. It's called Songlines, and then after that I've got a few other poems on a bit of a theme that I'm going to be running with tonight. Songlines. As we reach the coast, plush, lush rainforest dampens for me the spirit of earth, the song of existence, the singing that gives life and takes life. We have left behind the blinding sunlight, the endless horizons and empty stretches of parched, drear dirt, ankle-biting spinifex, anthills, meagre, stretchy shade. No more drawings in the sand or mocking kookaburras where we trod lightly on the earth. Past rock, waterhole, lizard, snake, and the leafless silver of winter mulga. My passport to dreaming, where the song and the story wakens, the dozing, fire, embers blow, smoky messages, singing the red dirt back into the rhythm of my heart. That's it.
Thank you.
And she's got an award, some kind of Henry Dawson award for that, apparently. All right. Now, okay, this one is called a Drought. The years move slowly, undaunted by bare blue skies, deepening and fading. The earth rose in the air and hung in a red mist. This year again they missed the rains. Thunderstorms on other ranges answered other prayers, but not a drop fell on the plains to quench the dirt and bringing new life to men gaunt as their beasts' eyes of blood from stinging dust. Brains sun-stricken surged and would not sleep. Almost insane, they drank off depression with whiskey, hung on never, doubting the one good season for 7 bad years, when dry country and blasted hot winds would flower grass green as river flats, sea blue salt bush, emerald wild spinach, fat stock glistening in clear creek water. You needed faith in that kind of land to hang on. That was all. All right, so on a bit of a theme tonight. Now, Millie, when I showed her inside the Poets Hall of Fame with all the portraits of the poets in there, she knew quite a few of them from her life. So she met Les Murray, she'd met Peter Porter and A.D. Hope when he was alive.
And she met Peter Porter.
I don't know, mate. Fuck me, actually serious? Oh, no. Anyway, she'd also worked with Rosemary Dobson and helped her edit a book. So Rosemary Dobson put out a book of like a heap of poets, other poems, and she called her for them. And then she got so inundated that she got a whole heap of other poets, and she gave them the job of reading 100 poems each and selecting 20 and then collating them, and then she read the last ones and chose them for this anthology that she created. So she worked with Rosemary Dobson. Anyway, so I've chosen Rosemary Dobson's poem here, Dry River. We've got a bit of a waterless theme coming on tonight. Dry River. Scrabble of pencil marked it on the map. The road, the blunt-nosed monster, thrust at the aching grasses blown the wind's way. Shouldered fence posts ate up miles, exhaling dust and stalks of grasses, smoke and thistles. Riding its back, I came to the dry river. It was my river, my spirit's destination. Abstract of water, a dry depression, holed and bouldered and raked with fishes where the idea of water channeled irresistibly over and under, endlessly forcing down into the sea. It was my river by right of recognition, kindred and kith by its never-resting, ever-longing, scouring endeavour, carrying always the thought of water. From a lost spring dwindled to silence. This is the burden of the dry river. Strange illusion that such a creek bed may seem to bring and shine at dewfall, or ripple with shadow, or sound like water with the cool, clear notes of the bellbirds mating. Mirages deceive, I wait with longing, a flood of poems, a rain of rhyme. Really lovely. Yeah, Rosemary Dobson, a fantastic Australian poet. So if you find any of her books, have a read. All right, now I'm going back in time now to a poet who lived in Australia for some time of his life, and he came out here. And his name is William Henry Ogilvie. He came out here from Scotland, and he spent 10 years or so in Australia because his father thought that the colonial experience would benefit him. So in 1889, he was born in 1869, so when he was 20 years old, he came here and he worked on stations, North and Burke, and he just loved the outback. So then he did return to Scotland, where they proudly claim him as their own poet, but he spent some time here in Australia, and this is one called, again, Drought. And Drought. I think this is a fantastic poem. Drought. My road is fenced with the bleached white bones and strewn with the blind white sand. Beside me a suffering dumb world moans on the breast of a lonely land. On the rim of the world the lightnings play, the heat waves quiver and dance, and the breath of the wind is a sword to slay, and the sunbeams each a lance. I have withered the grass where my hot hooves tread, I have whitened the sapless trees, I have driven the faint heart rains ahead to hide in their soft green seas. I have bound the plains with an iron hand, I have stricken the slow streams dumb. To the charge of my vanguards, who shall stand, who stay when my cohorts come? The dust storms follow and wrap me round, the hot winds ride as a guard. Before me the feet of the swamps is bound, and the way of the wild fowl barred. I drop the whips on the loose-flanked steers, I burnt their necks with the bow, and the green hide rips and the iron sears where the staggering lean beasts go. I lure the swagman out of the road to the gleam of the phantom lake. I have laid him down, I have taken his land, and he sleeps till the dead men wake. My hurrying hooves in the night go by, and the great flocks bleat their fear, and follow the curve of the creeks burnt dry, and the plains scorched brown and sere. The worn men start from their sleepless rest with their faces haggard and drawn. They curse the red sun into the west, and they curse him out of the dawn. They have carried their outposts far, far out, but blade of my sword for a sign. I am the master, the dread King Drought, and the great West Land is mine. I love that last two lines. I am the master, the dread King Drought, and the great West Land is mine. Yeah. Okay, and one final one. And you've got a poem for us tonight, buddy?
Yes, I've got two. My family's going to be watching tonight.
Excellent.
Yes.
All right. Okay, hello, Gladys family. All right. Well, now the other one that Millie Jones knew, another poet that she'd met, was Les Murray. So she wasn't particularly fond of him. And I get that because he grated on a lot of particularly left-wing intellectuals and liberals, small L liberals. But hey, he was Les, and he was a great writer.
Great writer.
Fantastic. And this one is called Rainwater Tank.
Mm-hmm.
Empty rings when tapped give tongue, rings that are tense with water talk, as he sounds them, rung by rung, Joe Mitchell's reddened knuckles walk. The cattle dog's head sinks down a notch, and another notch beside the tank, and Mitchell's boy with an old jack plane lifts moustaches from a plank. From the puddle that the tank has dripped, hens peck glimmerings and up tilt their heads to shape the quickness down. Petunias live on what gets spilt. The tank stands spider adds a spittle thread to her portrait of her soul. Pencil grey and stacked like shillings out of a banker's paper roll. stands the tank. Roof water drinker, the downpipe stares drought into it. Briefly the kitchen tap turns on, then off, but the tank says debit, debit.
Yes, good.
Debit. Yeah, it is very good. Well, so we've had a bit of a wet and dry beginning to the night, so I'd like to invite Gladys Wilson up. Come on up, buddy.
Well, this is where it's all done, isn't it?
I met Gladys' sister on the week yesterday, didn't I? Yeah.
Well, now, hello everyone, and welcome to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, where it all happens. It's lovely to have you all back. Actually, I give up on some of you. But at any rate, I'll say hello tonight to my family, because they're watching online. And I'm going to start off with the grand old rocking chair. This masterpiece once took pride of place and was truly adored by young and old, with a history of wonderful memories, even to this day are told. Auction day was finally here, as many travelled from far and wide to view the number of items that were on display inside. An elderly man in the room stood silent, his eyes just seemed to stare, as the final bid was placed on a grand old rocking chair. Visions from his childhood, though, still linger, a time he remembers only too well, with large crowds now gathering as the auctioneer's hammer fell. With hours quickly passing, many went on their way, when from behind a voice began to say, "Of course, my friends, I look nothing like the day that I was born. As you can see, the varnish now no longer shines with my tapestry seat all faded and worn. But this journey has been a long one that seems to always take me back to when I stood in a cosy lounge room alongside the magazine rack. Those precious moments from my past still I remember clear, as I'd happily rock away beneath the light of the chandelier. As the years all roll on and pages of our lives slowly turns, our glowing reflection in the mirror shows fire in the great still burns." Now, this is what I've done. No matter what, we will walk this path to happiness and together share. Signed, yours truly, the grand old rocking chair. Now, I have another one too, I think my family wrote. This is a Bushland Calling. This was one I finished last week, the week before. Once again, we hear the call. So now it's time to play our part and protect this precious bushland that remains close to our heart. Just to feel the freedom of this wide open space must be the most wonderful gift of all, out here in nature's kingdom with creatures great and small. But we must be all aware of these changing weather patterns, with firestorms sweeping through, as plumes of smoke now covers this beautiful sky of blue. These volunteer firemen, though, are heroes who will never give up the fight to battle raging fires that burn throughout the night. With those smouldering embers still drifting way out in the evening air, revealing the true horror of sadness and despair. Warning signs are already here, no longer can we ignore the threat of global warming that's right at our front door. While the sun rises over the blackened landscape, daybreak begins to appear, only to face the heartbreaking reality of our greatest fear. An eerie silence now hangs over the bushland, and rolling hills seem so far away as shadows start to deepen at the closing of another day. But with all our teaching, surely we can learn, so our endangered flora and fauna can once again return. Thank you guys. And thank my family, and I'm hoping they're watching tonight, because there's a couple of them here that was wanted me to be online tonight, so I thought that it is lovely to have you people back again. We make a good team, and we stick together, so yeah. So all these frosts.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, guys. So
All right.
Thank you, James.
Thank you very much, Gladys. All right.
Good people. And a shot.
Yes, so, yeah, Gladys' sister came here yesterday, didn't she?
Yes.
From the West Coast?
Yes.
From Western Australia?
Yeah, that's
Western
right.
Australia, yes. Oh, she loved it. She was
She sure did. Yeah.
So,
Now, I have got a friend who's a poet, and
You're joking.
yeah. Seriously?
I know, just maybe one,
Friend part
two. Oh yeah, but this one's special because she's somewhere else. Oh well, you're all special. Well, yes, you're all special.
In a way.
No. Yeah. Okay. So her name is Paris-Maree Boreham, and she lives down there at Blue Mountains somewhere. And she's sent me a couple. I have. I read a couple out last night, but I'm going to read out the other one that she's sent me here. Reflecting. Are not humans so amazingly unique on their own, especially the modest who make themselves less shown? For others to pass by them so they can all be seen, check out those people and where they've all been. Backstage they have their workers and working hard their core. Main stage we have the famous greedily for more. Supporters who applaud them to boost their vanity. Interesting people brings diversity. Though we would not know the difference if each were etched the same, guess the modest will come forward if it were not for the vain. The impossible the difference while one mingles with so many. To see them all the same is immoral and uncanny. We label and we group them by age, name, sex and race. Look them in the eyes and judge them by their face. We see those ones that are well off and those that aren't as rich. The end between, the common scene, the criminal, that witch. Family, all one blood and friends are close and few, perceiving everyone and the person that I knew. Consider education and deem the others dim. Then there are the sinners and those who never sin. Yet I have never even met you, the one unrecognised, though heard so much about you, then I generalised. The shadow, the foreigner, peculiar to me, there are sinners who never... Ooh, I missed that. Hang on, I'm lost here. I'm lost. Okay, shit. I'm totally lost. Oh, okay, now I'm found. Okay. Consider education and deem the others din. Then there are the sinners and those who never sin. Yet I have never even met you, the one unrecognised. Though heard so much about you, then I generalised. The stranger, the foreigner, peculiar to me, the shadow from before, the one who's yet to be. Hence I am confronted by the missing puzzle piece. For the person I don't know, my thoughts will never cease. As I gaze my own reflection with a different kind of view, the curtain falls upon the past and all I ever knew. Paris-Maree for all. 2021. That light was a reflection right across the middle of my iPad, and that's where I got lost. As I hit that, and I was like, hang on, I was trying to work around it. So yeah, if you come up here with an iPad, make sure but you don't, alright. I'm going to invite Rob up next.
Yay!
Rob, mate, going for a bit of music for you. Rob singing.
I'm going to do 3 songs that me and my dear old dad wrote.
Yeah.
Beard Oil Blues. This is one that my grandfather, me and my dad wrote, and my sister, she helped out as well on the lyrics. Stay till the straight.
The young rose
One more. I'd like to dedicate this to Olivia, Queen of Australian Pop. The Egg Finder, by me and my dad. Tonight is shining young, dancing of great Alexander, with the mountains of face life's dramas, while exploring our veranda. Seek you land to slay on Vader in your role of Jedi errant. Not around, stop to get made on my boarding best to Paris, most podium players made us leave it, then just steps to casual.
find any?
Yeah, he found a lot,
Oh,
actually.
cool.
Well. Thanks very much, Rob.
Hey, fine.
Now I know what I've been doing wrong. I need to put beard oil in to make myself more kissable.
Yeah.
Won't hurt. Wouldn't hurt.
That wouldn't hurt, hey? What's the line there?
With oil in my beard, I'll be nicer to kiss.
Nicer to
When I'm
kiss.
Nicer to kiss, I'll be more easily cheered.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, lucky I know the etymology of the word nice, which actually means foolish. So if you're a nice guy, you're
That doesn't
Cool.
matter. Doesn't matter.
yeah. Alright, look that
Oh,
up. That's
okay.
true.
I
Yeah.
remember that.
Remember that.
Fools can be nice to kiss.
So you know, so when someone comes past in a big flash car and they go, "Oh, nice car," it means you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fools need
Nice.
kissing too.
yeah, nice. All right. Okay. Well, look, this one was written for a male voice. I probably won't sing it because I'm not too. I might sing the chorus. By Steve Kipner and Terry Shattuck. I'm not going to give you the title of it. You can guess it. I'm saying all the things that I know you'll like. Making good conversation. I got to handle you just right. You know what I mean? I took you to an intimate restaurant, then to a suggestive movie. There's nothing left to talk about, unless it's horizontally. Let's get physical, physical. I want to get physical. Let me hear your body talk, your body talk. Let me hear your body talk. Let's get physical, physical. I want to get physical. Let me hear your body talk, your body talk. Let me hear your body talk. So this is, if you hadn't already guessed, it's my dedication to Olivia Newton-John, like one of her well-known songs, not from Greece. And she didn't write it, as I said. I've been patient, I've been good, tried to keep my hands on the table. It's getting hard, this holding back. You know what I mean, I'm sure you'll understand my point of view. We know each other mentally. You gotta know what you're bringing out. The animal in me. Let's get physical, physical. I wanna get physical. Let me hear your body talk. Let me hear your body talk. Let's get physical, physical. I wanna get physical. Let me hear your body talk. Your body talk. Let me hear your body talk. Now we need Rob's guitar solo. Chorus again, we'll skip that chorus. Okay, let's get physical, physical. Everyone, come on, I want to get physical. Let me hear your body talk, your body talk. Let me hear your body talk. Let's get physical, physical. Animal, I want to get animal. Let's get into animal. Okay, all right. I wonder what animal. Maybe it was doggy. Okay. Oh well, yeah.
Nice and cuddly.
She do it with Vegemite too.
Well, did she
I don't
develop
know.
blue koala?
All right. Well, on that note, we'll go from Rob's beautiful singing and my version of physical.
Is that
to
the real words?
they are.
Ah!
Yeah.
Wow, really?
To the king
pretty
of
racist.
not rock and roll, but opera. Paul Wood, welcome up.
Hey!
Now that is physical.
Okay, everyone. Looking good tonight, Vincent?
Thank you.
Okay. Alright. Look on the glasses, you see here. Now, there's a little bit of white noise here. Just talk amongst yourselves. Alright. Alright, now this fella's got a part-time job in golf, and it's picking fly shit out of people with boxing gloves. He's good at that, and this fella knows that Rome wasn't built in a day, and that's because he wasn't the clerk of works. Now, this fella suffers from a very rare disease called anastasia. It's a disease that spins you in ever-decreasing circles until you fly up your own fundamental freckle piece. Now this fella's a ever-ready showman. If you open the fridge door and the light goes on, he does 20 minutes. Now this fella looks equally good, no matter which end you're looking at. Now, give this fella a great big hand and get him up there now, give him a great big hand!
Alright,
Bless you. You too. My son kissed my ring. Now tonight I'm going to give you all a big break from the opera, and I'm going to talk about the world's first superstar. The world's first superstar. And the world's first superstar was Nikola Paganini. Now, Nikola Paganini is an Italian man, born in 1780, died in 1840, 57 years in the Napoleonic era. Paganini is without doubt the greatest virtuoso violin player in history of mankind, and probably still to this day, for various reasons that the Paganini tifosi like myself appreciate. Now, Paganini was a child prodigy. His dad was a reasonable mandolin player in ensembles at the time, and it's believed that the dad beat Paganini from childhood and made him practice 15 hours a day on the mandolin. He converted to violin. Now, it may have been an assistance to the young Paganini having great mandolin knowledge, because the mandolin and the violin is tuned the same. But he was so brilliant and so self-taught and such a prodigy of the violin that no matter where they took him, he had better technique than any master that could teach anywhere in Italy at the time. So at the age of 18, he had court jobs with the Napoleonic Wars. Italy at the time was a fragmented country of individual republics, and they were defeated by Napoleon. And Napoleon's sister, who was a countess, appointed Paganini as a court musician, the leading violin player. He did this many years, so they had a falling out. He had a falling out with everyone because he was a very, very strange man. He suffered from a rare disease, and it's called Maffrin disease, which is elongated bones and very high flexibility, and heart and other organ problems. It's a very rare disease which was not known about then, but Paganini suffered all his life with bad health. And as his fame started to rise, not only was he the greatest virtuoso violin player, but he also wrote all his own concerti. And apparently he was a very, very masterful guitar player, but he never performed a concert live with his guitar. He had a girlfriend. He was a womanizer, a gambler. He was a womanizer and a gambler. And one of his many girlfriends, he claimed, was a far superior guitar player than him. And he was renowned as one of the world's great guitar players, but he never performed. He wrote guitar pieces. His famous works in his young composing was the 24 Caprices, which is still played today, and they've all been sort of, they're the basis of modern composition, his Caprices, because Paganini not only showed the future of virtuoso violin playing, but he showed the future of composition too. And when he played, people went into rapture. They went into physical rapture. He played in London, Paris, Strasbourg. He travelled a lot for those times. He was a superstar. And people would actually go into rapture. When he put his charts out for the orchestra to play with him on his pieces, and even his violin concerto, number 1 in D, is only 34 minutes long. But what he would do, he would put the charts out for the musicians to play with him, and then he would take those back. He was very secretive. And at some points in his concerts, he'd douse the lights, and people couldn't see him playing. But no one in the world could play a violin like him, of all the great players of the time. And because of his physical appearance, because of his disease and his bad health and all the things that afflicted him, this disease he had, the physicians gave him at the time medicine which was based on mercury. They mixed mercury, flour, I think, opium and rose oil, and they made pills. And of course, Paganini was poisoned heavily by the deadly poison of mercury. So this made his appearance horrific. His teeth came out, he was very gaunt, and he looked like the devil. And so because of his playing and because of his mystery, the mystique about him and his appearance, he was deemed to be in league with the devil, and he was condemned by the church as a heretic. But anyway, his fame spread. Now, because of his strange physiology, he could bridge 3 octaves on the neck of a violin. Now the neck of the violin in classic training has got 5 positions on that short neck. There's 5 positions of positioning of the bow from the bridge to the neck, and also there's 55 notes and semitones on each string of the violin. So you see, that is a very great challenge, and a lot of the things he did in violin were not known, and it essentially took society and the world and mankind 100 years to catch up. His published works after he died, he's very secretive, but his published pieces after he died were so difficult to play. The techniques that he used, especially spiccato, especially special bowing techniques which were virtually unknown. There's 24 bowing techniques, and of the 55 notes and semitones on each string, of the 5 positions of bowing between the bridge and the neck, and of the 5 positions, what they call the position of thumb to the neck. What he said, the only secret he gave away of his playing was he said 1 position and 1 scale. That scale was the virtually futuristic pentatonic scale, and because he had such massive fingers, twice the length of a normal man's fingers, he didn't have to move his hand to play from the bridge to play the whole length of the neck And also that gave him different tact. His finger position gave him different tact and gave him a different harmonic over the string. Now, no one's heard him play. There's no photographs of this guy. He died in 1840, just at the beginning of photography. There is a fake photo of Paganini, but it's not him. There's various sketches of him, which gives us a good idea of his face. But he's a very mysterious man. He went sort of crazy. He finally bought a casino in Paris. It sent him bankrupt. He went sort of crazy. The last few years he lost his voice. So now I'll just mention two things because there's such a great volume of work of Paganini. But the exciting masterpiece, which is a modern piece, is the Violin Concerto Number 1 in D. And the modern player of it that I like is Itzhak Perlman. Now Perlman is an old man now. He's a fairly young man. But he was a great interpreter of Paganini, because really Paganini's music's only been mastered in the 20th century. And it is mastered, and yet it might not have the verve and the vibe, the excitement of Paganini himself. We don't know. And the other piece, so we mentioned that, Itzhak Perlman, Paganini's Violin Concerto, which is in 3 parts. The Allegro and the I forgot the next part, and it ends in a rondo. The final part of the rondo is very exciting. So if you play that, that's a great piece to play. 34 minutes of violin wonderment. Now, not only, again, as I said, not only was he the greatest violin player, but he also composed too. Great players generally play somebody else's compositions. Paganini played his own. So on a point system, Paganini's the king. He'll be the king forever. No one will ever exceed this mysterious, wonderful man. The other piece I recommend to the YouTube watchers is a very short piece that a party piece that he did called Moto Perpetual Motion, and every great player plays that again on YouTube. But the one I'm selecting for the YouTube watchers tonight is Yehudi Menuhin. Now Yehudi Menuhin is the great modern master of the violin. He's not with us anymore. I think Yehudi's gone. And I think in the black and white clip that they got on YouTube, it might have been accelerated a bit. But even Yehudi playing with his great touch, tact, and great mastery, he's still got a lot of pinch notes that you can hear. So, tonight is Paganini. The great pieces are the Violin Concerto, Number 1 in D, Itzhak Perlman, and Moto Perpetuo with Yehudi Menuhin. I think that's all. So, I'm inviting everyone. I mean, everyone in the room here is so cultured and knowledgeable about music, and about art, and about history that there'd be probably nothing I'll be telling them new, but this is for the benefit of the world. So, and all those dumbasses out there that know nothing about anything. So, for all my legion of fans out there that are following all the musicology, that are following all the music, that are following all the opera, all the sopranos, and look, there's more to come, Gladys, so hold on to your hat. That's about it for the time being. I might come back to Mr. Paganini.
Viva Paganini!
Yeah.
Viva!
Yeah,
Viva!
Yeah, long live Paganini,
He's
long live the
fantastic.
king.
He's really fantastic.
Now look, James getting a bit toey here, he's pissing around with the
The capriccios are magic.
The capriccios are magic. My word, but there's a lot of other work by the capriccios, but they've been used and mined from modern composition. So you can hear a lot of Paganini's compositions in a lot of modern music, a lot of film music and pop music has got Paganini. Not so much the earlier composers. Is it all right, James? Can I keep talking?
If you want, if you
Alright.
want, it's up to you.
All right, now I'm going to have a stab at a song. And this song is a song written by Johnny Tilson, 1962. I wish the professor was here, you know, because we could chat about that, because he knows everything about the 60s music. James has just left the room, which has just put my heartbeat down a few notches. Yeah, he's gone. So this one's by Johnny Tilson, 1961. It's an interesting song. It was a pop song, but in my opinion, the arrangement in this song was the high benchmark beginnings of the modern pop sound of country music. Right? This song again, you can hear it, you can watch on YouTube. It's a modern song, and it's a crossover pop and country song. And it's called "It Keeps Right On a Hurtin'." It keeps right on a hurtin' since you're gone. I cry myself to sleep at night, wishing I could hold you tight. Life seems so empty since you went away. The pillow where I rest my head now holds my lonely tears instead. And it keeps right on a hurtin' since you're gone. It keeps right on a hurtin' every minute of the day. Every hour you're away, I feel so lonely, and I can't help it. I just can't go on, and it keeps right on a hurtin' since you're gone. They say a man should never cry, and I forgot the words.
Have a cry, baby.
Well, I'm going to have a cry. But tonight, just in case I went dry, I've written the words down. Yeah.
Yes. Never heard of like Paganini. I didn't know all that.
Well, you know Paganini, don't you?
Yeah, he's great. I didn't know that.
I think he's great. I'd like to have a talk with Paganini and take him motorbike racing with me. I think he'd be a fine fella.
I didn't know about the fingers being able to go from
Yes, yeah,
the
remarkable.
top of
They wanted to exhume his body. One of the great one of the great modern violinists wanted his body exhumed. I think just to look at his physiology, the wonderment. Apparently, he had these special features. They say a man should never cry, but when I see you passing by, my heart breaks out and cries a million tears. You broke my heart and set me free, but you forgot your memory, and it keeps right on a hurtin' since you're gone. And I'm not going to sing anymore because I forgot the verse as well. So I hope the Paganini part was good, because, you know, I think I'm going to quit singing. What do you reckon?
Why should you quit?
I like
Shit house.
Singing is good.
But what I'll do, instead of singing these modern classics, I'm going to go back to the old country style and just keep retreading old songs that I sang in the past, like some of the poems that we hear tonight.
Yeah.
All right. Good night.
So Marfan syndrome, I had a friend at high school and through university who had exactly Marfan syndrome.
Yeah.
Very, very rare. He was like 6'3".
That's right.
He had fingers that were really, really long. Yeah.
So he could stretch from the top of the boat to the bridge with one span.
One position, 3 octaves.
Wow.
All right. Now this one here is a poem now from our friend Larry, who's been a bit ill. So he sent this to me. And then as soon as this is over, Ashley's up.
I thought
Oh no, sorry, Doug's up. The old guard gasped as they drew the Joker card. It trumped the other cards, and it was one not to discard, but it was all too late already, as the good folk knew well. Oh, it's hard to see this. The old guard knew too, nothing else they could do. Their pandemic of fear days were numbered. His days were numbered, and the good folk looked back with a tear as they remembered. But a new age was dawning, away from the coldness of the machine, and there was going to be less me, and more we, with good stuff in between.
Hey.
What about
So on that, I'm going to invite Doug on up. Welcome back, Doug.
Yes, I had my younger sister.
I'm not doing nothing till they're across too.
And yeah, it's calling, so
They keep talking.
Yeah,
I'm trying to quiet them down. But can I go?
Yep, you're right.
Thank you. Hey, g'day, I'm Doug and I'm glad to be here. Hard axe to follow. Impossible bloody axe to follow. Now, we just had a legend up here with the classical stuff. I was going to ask him to do a bit of an interpretation of this. Where is he? Oh, there he is. Sure, well, but I'm going to have a go. Now, I've got this flyer here for you to look later. This weekend at the Teachers College in town, Armadale, they've got a concert. Armadale Symphony and the Fiore Chamber Choir, and I think that's the mob that come up here.
It is.
Chamber Choir? Yeah, well they're doing their thing in Armadale on Sunday.
All right.
Now Paul could help me here if need be. The name of the whole deal is called Intimations of Immortality. I don't mind that. Conducted by Inga, and Deepe's going to play the piano, all that stuff. But the thing that caught my eye, I suppose one of the main features is the Fiore Requiem. And all I can say about that is, I know they played that when my mum died at her service. So it still touches me quite deeply. I'm sure Paul could expand on this. We've got Saint-Saëns Piano, Concerto No. 5, featuring Breville, Cheetham, Wales and G. Jello or something. 3 p.m, Teachers College this weekend.
wow.
Add anything you'd like before. If I get this bit of poem out of me. Yeah, I've been away, absent without leave sort of thing, and I'm ready to make excuses, or I'm not going to explain anything. But I haven't been here. I haven't got this thing, but as I say at the start of this, my muse has had the blues. My muse had the blues. My muse has had the blues. Does that make any sense? I don't know. Yeah. But my muse has to give me something. I don't like to come here. I've got to bring some bloody thing. Anyway, my muse has had the blues. And one of my apologies for these few lines is I've used the word just a fair bit. And I'm thinking there's too many justs in this. That's the way it is. Okay. My theme is madness. I dream with madness. Is anyone home? The world still feeds me, bullshits and seeds me, preaching its rules. How vulnerable am I on board with these spruikers? They want me to trust, just follow See, I've got spruikers, and now I've got kukers. You know what a kuker is? They stand in bloody queues. That's my word. They want me to follow the kukers. Your sanity or what is such a dreadful appraisal. Should I drink, smoke and rage? You'll tell me I'm nuts. How the F do you know if my sanity's low? Where's your big book of rules? Are they so absolute? Can I force what is mad, force what is sad, force what is bad? Just help me paddle my own float, to float my own boat, and to nurture my mental condition. Do I need all you docs and you shrinks and you fixers, or just a few pats on my back? You're doing your best, son, don't let them dictate. Just write out your poem and tell us your mental state. You don't have to. Please trust good old sacred, you'll be quite okay. Let strength be sent from the forces of good. It's all out there, come tap it and land quick in the wow. I'll say the last one. Let strength be sent to you from forces of the good. It's all out there, come tap it and land quick in the wow. Amen. That's all I got.
Well, the good thing about me recording this is I get to go back and watch this on YouTube later and stuff. So sorry I missed that, Doug, but I'm sure it was good, yeah. Right, in a very, very, very short minute, I'm going to get up, who's to come on up? Ashley Albanese. Before this happens, here's one that I wrote called Identity Confusion. Now there's a lot of debate going on about people who don't want their feelings hurt because they identify as they were born male and identify as a woman, or born woman and identify as a man, or non-binary, or whatever the fuck that means. Identity confusion. I identify as an empty bucket. Please don't stick your shit in me. I'm very confused as to what I am, so tomorrow I'll identify as a fucking tree. After that, I'll identify as a Mediterranean winery. And don't call me a man. You'll hurt my feelings. I identify as non-binary. And just the other week I identified as dog shit, a monkey's balls, a homo alligator, and my pronoun is fucking it. Not it, fucking it. I identify as humble and would not identify as proud. My mum calls me James. I'm a poet named Thundercloud. That's it. I was a bit smelly when I was a dog shit. Okay, on that note, Ashley Albanese, come on up. Hopefully I've offended like at least 10% of the population.
I don't know what it is.
Well, to be here is not to be there. But we're not going to talk about T.S. Eliot. I enjoyed hearing all of that about Paganini because I love Paganini. Really, when I first got the sparkle of some of that pizzicato, many moons ago. We're 2 days off a full moon out there that will glitter in the lagoon. Be that as it may, when I first got the first sparkle of his pizzicato, I thought, I don't have to think anymore. Well, I was sitting in Bridge Street, as I like to do, reading a book, Great Modern British Plays, published in 1929 and edited by J.W. Marriott. And I wrote this sentence down because we're interested in the mirror of history shown through language, and language looking back, creating history, like we do here in the Guyra Poets Hall of Fame. And Marriott was waxing, and he said, truth first is what we're trying to get in English theatre post-World War I. And he wrote, after Ibsen and the play for Puritans, which refers to George Bernard Shaw, the foundations of drama were extended and grew sounder for the expansion. I like those thoughts. Anyway, this is the beautiful sentence. I can't write it like this. Can you write like this? With the divine and very rich instrument of our English language. He wrote about theatre between the wars. Truth evicted artifice, possibly at the cost of substituting some voracious ugliness for some meretricious beauty. I'm glad I wrote that sentence down. The way some people could use the English language, and perhaps will do again. I thought I would do the next why perform by starting with the flip side of the coin, as it were. I met him once, but I knew his best friend, who he writes of here in a Paean, P-A-E-N, quite well. So I read this yesterday, and then today I wrote a poem voicing out from this voice. Friendship, Robert Ellis, 1942 to 2016. Thrown out of another suburban house in the boarding age, I gloomily stood reading the vacancies pinned up in the quad. Wanted a roommate, alas, must be male. That had spirit. So we met in North Bondi, Raffles Hotel. Lismore teenager and Scrag in a 12-hour argument. Bible Adventist versus Apprentice Catholic. We hit it off well. The Raffles was Dutch. KLM crew layoff. The owner, widely feared in Sydney, was one Abe Saffron, who kept us incorrupt in the year we spent there at movies and pool. When his manageress evicted us for grot, he, returning from Hollywood, cast her out in turn and sent men to invite us back, but we'd moved on to Midnight Cowboy. Then, yet to be filmed. It's how we lived, Murray, back from Jeddaland and Culture Called The Push, which wasn't a film. I dared to marry. He declared this would destroy art in me. A month later, the Cuba crisis. He and two friends fled to the mountains and came back, not nuked, all related years in a wonderful film called The Nostradamus Kid. The Nostradamus Kid, spurned in Australia. Long before he'd scripted the life and times of King O'Malley, who sold 20 years of his soul to Parliament and Nation, Capital and Rail Line, then slumped in silence. Newsfront followed, whose hero kept his soul, masterpieces, all three, and I will add in brackets, they indeed, indubitably are, especially Newsfront, magnificent creation of his mind. Masterpieces, all three. His career followed on through film and prose, as mine through rough metre, but we were friends for friendship, not rivalry. We made an arch biopic for TV with a mute's breakout speech, which the ABC lost. We made kids film I Own the Racecourse. We married adorably well and outventured a Kiplingite friend on behalf of Bangladesh, while I moved quietly home to the bush. He was loyal to tin roofs among hosts who were not, and brought me friends among the filmed and the shot. But now our barely political yarns are finished. Even in the Jewish cafe down Bondi, where last summer saw us praising our fathers and Bill O'Reilly, you are gone. And I had dared think it was like when my liver went to the brink. Low slung and wooden, you pass on your way, as I prefer all our years to one dressy day. And if you met Bob wandering around Sydney, he certainly did slouch around woodenly, and very mysteriously, I always thought. He put on the persona of an intense, unusual intellectual, and he really didn't have to act the part. That was him. So I wrote...
intermission.
Intermission, yes.
Permission to speak, kind sir. Permission to speak. Ah, great. Okay. There was a poem I heard here, Ashley, and I thought it might have been by you. And it was about the dignity of little bird dying, and that it sort of should be treated with more dignity than a king dying.
Yeah.
Was that yours?
Yeah, that was.
What was that called?
Something I've forgotten. Was it by John Young, the Scottish poet? Recently I read it.
No, it was quite some time ago
I
actually.
should think about
but it
that,
just
I
stuck in my
will.
mind just from the thought of it. So I'd like to hear that one again if you can revive it.
Not tonight, but I'll have a dig
No.
around in my mind. One of the lines in English I always replay in my mind is a line from Alexander Pope talking about hunting, and he talks about the little life in air, the life of a bird lost and hunted, and its little life in air. I've been haunted by that line for 50 years. And I wrote this about Bob, wonderful fellow that he was, and it's only since his death that I've researched and discovered what a giant he was and how we kneecapped him because he was a lefty. Well, this is the poem that I wrote about him, and here we go, because we're all going. Bright white shirt and tie seem to tie you to, hovering like a Sunday school teacher, tied to your hip flask, a silver metallic gulped down from, occasionally, the knob back on. I'm from Ewing Street, walked above the floodlines to get home, sing poemons too, to ghost of schoolboys walking home above the flood. As the bells ring, we step back to our seats to face the performance. Face to face up the tiers we went. Neither could take their eyes from each other. The stables theatre walls around where the governor's horses groomed and trotted once upon a time, but now staging a piano for your cabaret review. It's been a very good year. Rambling down, this is the second snapshot. Rambling down, hailed by my friends on the dock. MUA, here to stay, the chant goes up. MUA stands for the Maritime Union of Australia. And this was a great strike on the docks in the late 90s, where now great pyramids and high-rise zoom up to the god of chance and casinodom. MUA, here to stay, the chant goes up. I hear you've worn a lot in gravelly voiced sententiousness. Discuss Patrick's capitalism, the skilled Sydney police traditions of dealing with picket lines, strike breakers, and I offhandedly, to impress, how's Porridge the parrot these days? Snapshot 3. Months later, Bob says to me, "Where do you know Porridge from?" I thought he'd remember, and he did. Well, I'm the guy, the knight back then, who came to actuality from your music hall pen, surrounded by elite lit images in the State Gallery. We wander off, both on the side of the Woolloomooloo bar. You've sworn off the booze with ritual intent. You raise your squash, there pour a libation into my cola glass. You're on the rush to pick up your son. Thus, slow shot, snapshot of us, Bob Ellis, 1942-2016. It's hard to explain Bob and the magic he had and will continue to have, because he left some wonderful works. And when I was scribbling along, I remembered meeting him many years after. It's been a very good year at the stables at the Cross. I remember as he was approaching with his friends, who were also my friends by circumstance, I remembered hearing in the distance that he'd worn a lot in gravelly voiced sententiousness. So next poem, I dreamt that one this morning, and then I dreamt this one. He parks the life chariots and chariots of life. The Mitsubishi Galant turns on the lights. Then at 30, the Nimbus carrying family hitherness and thitherness opens the doors, turns on the car radio, again the lights. 45, he felt the match. Datsun Pulsar round those Sydney streets, parked the cliff edge, cornering, switches the engine onto its alacritus purr. Then the Holden Commodore. What a story lies in that in my life. Its commodious empowerments on the lonely stratas up to Lightning Ridge or down straight Dubbo Way, opening the copious boot, all the parkers out, blinking to the horizon. And then 15 years of my bubble white, indomitable gets out on the street next to the gutter, under the starlight. I open all the doors, hit the on switch for parkers, front lights, tails, turn up all the radios, engines blast, slide all the windows down, glove boxes, never had gloves, but they had me, open wide. The 4 wagons of my time, in the time of diminishing hydrocarbons, in the time of individual truth and illusion, Gallant, Nimbus, Commodore, gets open, all functions, cybering messages to the passing stars, lights, doors, engine, in exultant chorus. Some steps behind him, they turn, the sun chemistry into onwardness, but for marshalled effect they are sentinel. In neutral, hands brake at 45 degrees. In neutral, handbrakes at 45 degrees. He steps forward, dives deep into the dawn sea, on the sunrise edge of course, over the cliff of the chariots. And when I went walking outside, I wrote this a few minutes back. The eye under heaven of Gyra Lagoon. It falleth gentle, mirrors the hanging cross, whispered veils of rain across the granite upboom, where the lagoon waits, drinking from heaven, heaven's drink. And I will finish going backwards tonight. What have I been reading? Well, I had a mental drain and I couldn't quite cope with Feynman's 6 Easy Pieces, but I will get back to it as I'm not a scientist and a mathemo, but I will return to it. But I have been reading and thinking about Eliot's Murder in the Cathedral, which has been with me since I listened to the great Robert Donnet perform on recording as Thomas à Becket 50 years ago. No, 60 years ago when I first would have heard it. And the last words of it have always haunted me. Blessed Thomas, pray for us. Eliot truly created an extraordinary work in Murder in the Cathedral. So, I was also sitting in Bridge Street reading this little book I bought called It's an Everyman. If in 1930 you were an Aussie in the bush and you had most of the Everyman library, you had a library and you were well educated. It's essays and belles letters put together by Ernest Rhys. And what intrigued me was a line in a Archie and Mahitable poem by, I've forgotten his name, and the line was, and I've never heard such a succinct statement about female destiny, in the good and the bad of it. The line was, Mahitable the cat was talking to Archie and she said, cheerio, and, I've forgotten it. Cheerio and, cheerio deario, pulls a lady through. Brilliant thought. Cheerio deario, pulls a lady through. And all mums who go on that journey and have to say goodbye to that in the hello of that must certainly always carry that badge of cheerio deario, pulls a lady through. So that's almost for me. I'll sing a song and I'll show you that I'm not a person of forgetfulness. Don't laugh, Vince, you didn't bring your dog. Your dog loves it when I flash these.
No, that here we were talking about.
Here we are. The three rulers did come to symbolise tonight hypothesis, implication, and Steve reckons that it's better for me to have testing and trying rather than the big word that starts with P, permutations. So hypothesis, implications, and testing or trying. And that about makes the frame of our thinking in this world while we have the hypothesis to imagine that we are here. Now I shall say farewell with a very short ditty that I've sung before, but I love it very much. One other thing I've had lots of thoughts about this week, that I read when I was sitting in Bridge Street, as I have many times, Les Murray's great poem, the Bulladila Tarid Holiday Song Cycle. I thought a lot of the best Australian poems are about of that 20-minute, 30-minute to read and fully digest length, actually. The men sitting with the dingo crying on the abandoned airstrip, going north to a reunion in Dutton's great poem. The Wind at Your Door of R.D. Fitzgerald, who came up here to farewell the world at Glen Innes, should have come to Gyra. The Wind at Your Door, The Hidden Bowl, and his great poem about the Pacific out at Fiji Way, The Shoals of 1642. They're all of a similar length, and they're great works of Australian whitefellow expression. And I should imagine if we could go back to some of the Aboriginal chants and poems, we'd find, coincidentally, that they're somewhat of the same boom, 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 boom length as we dance along on this continent for a nation. So, once again, I'll sing Come Live With Me by David Campbell. Come live with me and we'll be drovers when stars are lambing in the rivers. Couples we will count the sheep, yet kiss before we go to sleep. Oh, summer down the Lachlan side, we'll sing like Clancy as we ride. Hawks hang charmed above the plain, shearing time comes in again. For love of you I'll ring the shed, we'll have breakfast served in bed. Slattern maids in cotton caps, go to work at noon perhaps. And she says, and in a basket I will keep the skirtings of the finest sheep, for spinning tights for ballet girls, with combs and cutters in their coats, and they will dance at each smoko for your delight upon the toe. Bring you beer and violets in garlands for your gallant hats. With mistletoe I'll crown my hair, sing most sweetly to the air. Since time's a shearer, where's the sin in kissing in the supper bin?
James.
I thought you were going to be dancing out in the bush shed, James, when I sang the lilt.
Okay. Well, the next two poems are props. And this Siri kissed off.
This is just Vince having a bit of a sneeze.
Okay, yeah, alright. Okay, so this poem is called A Long, Hollow Wooden Stick with Holes that you blow into to make noise out of. I'm a flute. I love to toot. My life is beaut as a tooting flute. Sometimes I'll hoot, I'm golden cute, a beaut cute hooting flute. I'll never root. I'm not a brute and never mute. Can't eat fruit, not made of jute, not a brute nor rooting, mute jute fruit eating flute.
Wow.
Okay, and that's it. That's it. Okay. I've got something to show you.
Can we see it 5 times?
What was that, Steve?
Showing us his nuts.
Show us your nuts. I'm nuts. Yeah, all right. That's a joke out of what? Flying High, wasn't it? So the sexy girl says, "Show me your nuts." All right, nuts. Tasty, hazel, crunchy, sweet. Mixed nut people that I meet. Some have drive, determination and guts. Others are just plain nuts. Salty beer nut Sam has sailed the seas. Almond is an arborist who climbs big trees. In Antarctica they live in huts, but self-destruction is just plain nuts. Walnuts help your brain grow. Macadamia butter's good oil, you know. Salted pistachios, honey pecan nuts. But don't come near me if you are just plain nuts.
Yeah, I love that.
Nuts for protein, have cashew. Nuts for fibre, help me poo. Self-inflicted death from 1,000 cuts. Slow suicide is just plain nuts. Pick up nuts when they fall down. Dig peanuts up from underground. Roads can be smooth or rough with ruts. Beware of those who are just plain nuts.
Okay.
Am I in the wrong place here? I better get out of here. Okay. All right, and on that I'm going to invite Steve Wordsmith on up. Welcome up, Steve.
Why bloody not? Thank you, James. Obviously, there's some interesting viewpoints happening about this poet at the moment. And
Can I see your nuts?
that is always cool.
Where's your nuts?
Where's your nuts? How you going, everybody out there on Facebook and YouTube? It's good to be here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. I've been going through some challenging times, and it's always good to be able to get here on a Wednesday night and be able to, do some poetry or come up with some words that we've hopefully not heard of before, okay? And, some of these poems, they come from depth of understanding or depth of where we walk in life. And over my last 7 years, I've had a challenging 7 years. And, you know, 7 years ago, I don't like to take any pity sort of situation or anything like that, but it's been pretty tough. And I've helped to rebuild a broken man into a loving, compassionate, hopefully mature man again. And to me, that someone that can show love and build from a broken person into someone that is managing to stand as a citizen of this country, I think that's good value. So, you know, if some people have critical views on that, it's been challenging. But when banks and corporations take you for everything that you've got and put you on the street and say, live a life now without anything, and they take away your real estate because you don't have any real estate things left, you don't have any rent references left, and you're stuck on the street with your families. You want to make passions, you want to be angry? Yes, people can be angry. People can voice their opinions. Yes, we are in a corrupt and difficult world. We're on the start of a third world war and they said it's happening. But I believe in peace. Peace. We don't need the rubbish of fighting wars. We don't need nuclear bombs going off. We don't need destroying our human people. Life means more to me than that. The cost of life has been lost. People's human ability to think and voice their opinion has gone. And it's time we need to change. Stinking thinking needs to change. Let's get it right. We don't need all this. Let's not listen to the lies. Open up your eyes to the reality of truth. Follow some of the truths that's been put out in this world. Don't be so stupid. We are being led by a number of imbecile people. Led into a war that we don't need. Many people have been manifesting this war. We don't need this war. It's time we change our viewpoint. Have a different logic to the way we think of things. Let's get off this system that's driving humanity into genocide. Sorry for getting angry.
Don't be sorry. Should be more of
I'm Steve Wordsmith. My book, Where the Rubber Hits the Road, in this game they call life. See you next time.
All right. Well, so as you know, poetry's cathartic. You get your shit out. It means you get your shit out. Yeah.
It's wide ranging, that's for sure.
Yes. Yeah, that's all right. No, it is. So what? See, the one about nuts, right? A friend of mine came in the other day, and that person had been working with someone who and had been saying certain things which I won't repeat because they're just plain, and so that was sort of our way of dealing with her particular emotional situation that she was put in for that time. So I stood there, listened to her talk about this particular mental health situation, and some people are just plain nuts. Like, I mean, they're on all kinds of medication and all kinds of stuff like that, no matter what. Yeah. And that's cathartic. It helps you to get your shit out, you know. Otherwise, that could be just going around in my head. Like, you know, she passes on her trauma to her, who passes it on to me, etc. So you see how trauma passes on from whatever you surround yourself with. So she passed on that to her, and then she passed it on to me. So I write it down to get rid of it. Just the same way Steve was able to voice his opinion about the world and his frustrations, fears, angers because that's his focus on the world. And in fact, right at the end of this, I wish you had have stayed, because there's a piece that I'm going to do called Meditation in a Cave, and yeah, it would probably help, because in Buddhist philosophy, the letting go of all that is around you that you cannot change, you need to have the strength to accept what can't be changed. Yeah. Or you can allow it to frustrate you. You can allow the external world to affect your internal world, or you can allow your internal world to control how you respond, because every emotional response is learned. Every single one, from fear to shame to guilt to love, and programmed, because you can choose to be affected negatively by all of those things that Steve was talking about, or you can choose not to be. And anger is generally a manifestation of lack of control. All anger generally. When take an argument between a couple, one guy lashes out because he can't control his emotions, he hasn't got the words to respond to the emotional abuse from the other partner, etc. Anger comes from that. There once was a girl who lived in a tree. I loved her and she loved me. We kissed in the tree and along came a flea. The flea bit her and she fell from the tree. Now, I'm in the tree and I'm lonely as the fall from the tree caused by the flea was the end of the girl. It was deadly. She lay there dead. Her soul flew free and I'm all alone up in the tree.
Do it again.
It's in the delivery, yeah. There was a girl who lived in a tree. I loved her and she loved me. We kissed in the tree and along came a flea. The flea bit her and she fell from the tree. Now, I'm lonely as the fall from the tree caused by the flea was the end of the girl. It was deadly. She lay there dead. Her soul flew free and I'm all alone up in the tree. I've been playing with alliteration a bit there this week.
What a funny ditty.
Oh, it was. Because there was then there was another tree theme, because like when I was the identity one, I identified it as a tree. Well, I put an elephant in a tree. I looked up and it weed on me. It pooed and then I heard a snap. I got covered in elephant crap. I took a camel to a bar. I drove drunk home in my car, RBT, and it was booked for being drunk and fully cooked. I put a ferret in a hole. It caught a rabbit and a mole, a mink, a weasel and wombat. It even chased a feral cat. I poked a lion in a cage. I poked it till it got enraged. I went in cage and I got bitten. Now I am just a lion shit.
Oh.
Okay, well, I thought we'd end the night on a high note. Hey, we could go up, we go down. All right, well, the last one is, it's called Meditation in a Cave. And I'm going to dim the lights to this one. I might just dim one light up above me, the art, that one. Now, my cave is not a cave, it's my bedroom under the stage. It's got no windows, so it's very, very, very dark in there. And I like sometimes to just sit there and open my eyes and look around and see if I can see anything or not and meditate. And this is a little meditation I wrote. Oh, let me get his legs up on the chair so I'm comfy here. And feel free to breathe with me as I do this. Inhaling deeply. I think about inhaling deeply and hold. Exhale slowly and fully. I think about exhaling slowly and fully. Hold. Inhale slowly and fully. Hold. Eyes open, it's pitch black. Eyes closed, it's exhale slowly. Hold. It's the colours that I see in my mind's eye. Inhale. Visualize psychedelic colours and fractal patterns. Exhale. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. Stop. Hyper relaxation. Time fades away. Awareness expands. Enter the zone. Is this Zen? No thoughts. Detachment and Zen. Inhale. Thinking about people, tormented people, people who have something to prove, people dying, looking for something, blinded by the light, needy, depressed, anxious, fearful, lost people who could do with and are searching for non-everything and a bit more. Exhale, fully hold, bliss and Zen. That's it. Yeah, thanks very much everyone tonight for coming along to poetry. It's been most entertaining, it's been full of ups and downs, and now, before we go, we've got one last person, Vincent, to go. Vincent wanted to go last.
I know.
Yeah, he's still
Well,
with us.
Vincent's doing something.
Nearly midnight, no.
Hi.
Are we looking good?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Look at that.
I just thought I'd let you know it took me 10 minutes to write this 2-hour poem. Just joking. It's 5 to 12 as they say. No, gotta take my glasses off as usual. This is thank you. Thank you. James, how do you say thank you? Easy. Thank you. To all the poets, singers, and the people from Gyra and round about, thank you. Love from Buddy and I. Thank you.
There you go.
You got
Wow. Lots of love. Thanks, Vincent, Gladys, Paul, Rob, Doug, Ashley, Steve, and also Paris and Larry and the other poets that we read out tonight. Yeah.
Excellent.
All right. Good night. Thank you. Subscribe, like, give it a thumbs up, and see you later. See you, buddy.